Well, here we go, kicking off another big hour here of the Steve Gruber Show. Glad to have you on board to start your day live from Studio G, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom every single day. There's a warning, though. This show can result in extended periods of American pride and optimism and enthusiasm about this nation's future. We're kicking off the live broadcast day on Real America's Voice and MTN, and we're reaching a growing global audience. Again, this is the Steve Gruber Show. It's a no-panic zone. Thank you for being here. Three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, Democrats still trying to figure out how they can win back men in upcoming elections. And now Governor Whitmer of Michigan taking a shot at the guys. I'm going to need some feedback from you. Number two, did Elon get a black eye from getting mouthy with Scott Bessent? There's a rumor flying around that they had a disagreement that turned physical. And number three, what we're witnessing in Los Angeles isn't just a riot. It's a full-blown assault on the soul of America, and it's got the Democrat Party's fingerprints all over it. Throwing rocks, that's part of what you're seeing. Protesters who have blocked law enforcement under highway overpasses, throwing rocks, concrete, and fire onto the vehicles. It is completely unhinged. The city of Angels looks far from angelic. It's burning. Businesses are being looted. Streets are choked with chaos. And what do we hear from the left? They're pointing the finger at Donald J. Trump, as if he's the one tossing Molotov cocktails for enforcing the law. Here is the LA County Supervisor. Listen to this.
Well, we do know that the public has a right to protest, but I think all of us are calling on the protesters to protest peacefully and nonviolently. I served in Congress with John Lewis, who was the quintessential nonviolent protester. I grew up in the era of Dr. Martin Luther King. We know that nonviolence is the best message at this time. But having said that, I totally blame the Trump administration for provoking this. The way they have come in indiscriminately, going after hard-working residents of LA County, many of them in the cities that I represent on the County Board of Supervisors, is inhumane.
Inhumane. This is the Democrat Party, folks. They'll let their cities and states crumble into ash while blaming the man who's trying to reverse the chaos caused by Joe Biden. It's a disgrace, a betrayal of every law-abiding citizen who just wants peace and law and order. California now suing Trump for deploying the National Guard, if you can believe that. That's how much they hate him. They're mad about Trump helping out the LAPD. While videos of cars burning in the background play, California Rep. Judy Chu says the LAPD, they don't need the National Guard. They don't need help. Here she is.
You have outliers that throw things and cause damage. And so, yes, the LAPD came in and they called it an unlawful assembly. I believe that the LAPD has this underhand, and they are very, very experienced in riot control. So this is something that they can handle. We do not have to have the National Guard here. We certainly do not have to have the Marines here. This is a manufactured crisis, and we do not need the Insurrection Act, and that is an understatement.
Yeah. Look at all the violence. Cars burning, chunks of concrete flying, but they don't need any help. They've got it under control. How about we ask somebody who actually knows? How about we ask the Los Angeles Police Department, the LAPD? Let's get it straight from them, shall we? Here it is.
We saw the first night was bad. What we've seen subsequent to that is getting increasingly worse and more violent. Tonight we had individuals out there shooting commercial-grade fireworks at our officers. That can kill you. And we have adapted our tactics to be able to have a chance to be able to take these people into custody and to be able to hold them accountable. We are overwhelmed as far as the number of people out there engaged in this type of activity and the type of things that they're doing. They'll they'll take backpacks, and the backpack will have a cinder block in it. They have a hammer, and they'll break up the cinder block and use that, pass it around to throw at officers, to throw at cars, and throw at other people. We've seen people with hammers, and you broadcasted, breaking the bollards behind the federal building and taking the rocks, if you will, or pieces of concrete, and throwing them at officers. We've had liquid of who knows what description thrown at officers. There's no limit to what they're doing to our officers.
So who do you believe? The chief of the LAPD or some political mouthpieces? Let's talk about the hypocrisy that's thicker than smoke over LA. They called January the 6th an insurrection, but this, entire neighborhoods turned into war zones, businesses destroyed, looting going on again last night, cops being overwhelmed, chunks of concrete flying, commercial-grade fireworks going off while foreign flags are being waved. Of course, foreign flags. What would this be without Mexican flags flying everywhere? This isn't an insurrection? Give me a break. On January the 6th, the left screamed for the National Guard to roll in with tanks and tear gas. But now, when LA's descending into madness, sending in the National Guard is somehow incendiary. Why the double standard? Simple. Because it fits their narrative. They don't want order, they want chaos to push their leftist agenda. And frankly, it's disgusting. Let's not ignore the real culprit here, California's sanctuary state insanity. This is the largest sanctuary state in America, folks, where Governor Gavin Newsom, following the playbook of Jefferson Davis himself, has ordered every police department and sheriff's office not to cooperate with federal immigration enforcement. You heard that right. Even if an illegal immigrant commits a heinous crime, murder, rape, whatever, you name it, California's got their back, not yours, theirs. Free welfare, free health care, every state benefit you can imagine, handed out like candy to people who shouldn't even be here in the first place. This is not compassion, this is complicity. Border czar Tom Homan had this to say about California Governor Gavin Newsom's handling of the situation thus far. Listen.
I'd love to get your response to Governor Newsom saying, essentially, that your actions here are provocative, and the quote that he used was sowing chaos.
Look, Governor Newsom's an embarrassment for the state. That, he's the one that's feeding this mantra. He supports sanctuary cities. He supports sanctuary laws. If he cared about public safety in the state of California, he would not have a sanctuary for criminals, where criminals get released to the streets of this state every day because of his policy.
True to form, Governor Newsom was as dramatic, melodramatic that is as ever. While he denied any responsibility for what's happening in his own state, none whatsoever. None of this is his fault. Listen.
Get your hands off these poor people. They're just trying to live their lives, man. Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes, been here 10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
If only. Wouldn't you love to see that? Give you something to think about if we take a quick break here. Welcome to it. Remember to follow us on X, Facebook, live on YouTube, and everywhere else. Make sure you take a moment to follow the Steve Gruber Show. We'll be right back. All right, let's just break this right down to what this is. The state of California is aiding, abetting, and conspiring to facilitate an invasion of the United States. Over 2 million gotaways under the Biden administration, people who crossed our border and vanished. You think this summer won't turn into a season of terrorism with that kind of open-door policy? Wake up, America. We've seen some of these illegals murder our Jewish neighbors already, and that's just one example. President Trump says he is prepared to respond with strength. Here's what he said.
Troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Biden and this auto pen.
What's the bar for sending Marines?
But the bar is what I think it is. I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, then we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. It's about law and order.
People, sir. Secretary Hexon.
We're going to see what we need. We'll send whatever we need to make sure there's law and order.
Do you foresee those protests spreading to other cities, Chicago, New York, for example, in the next few days?
Yes, we're going to be watching it very closely. And when they spit at the people, you know, they spit. That's their new thing. They spit, and worse, you know what they throw at them, right? And when that happens, I have a little stinker. They say, they spit, we hit. And I told them, nobody's going to spit on our police officers. Nobody's going to spit on our military, which they do as a common thing. They get up to them this far away, and then they start spitting in their face. That happens, they get hit very hard.
And we're seeing a lot more than spitting on the streets of L.A., as you know, a lot more. Several officers hospitalized already. Protesters, of course, waving Mexican flags while they torch American cities, praising Mexico while they dump on the nation that gave them the freedom to come here and stay here and have the freedom to dump on this country. Tell me, is destroying an American city while waving a foreign flag not an act of war? Because that's what it looks like to me. Apparently, ABC's reporters think it just looks like a bunch of people having fun. Huh. Yeah, just some kids having some fun. Listen to this.
Large group of people. It could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation and altercation between officers and demonstrators.
Having fun watching cars burn. Yeah, he said it. ABC News, you must be proud. Having fun watching cars burn. What gets more volatile than a street of cars burning? Well, those folks are out here protesting deportations to Mexico, chanting about how great their home country is. Well, if Mexico is so damn good, why are you here in the first place? Why aren't you packing up and heading back home? Oh, the irony is rich, especially when you consider that Americans can't waltz into Mexico and protest their government without getting locked up or worse. Can you imagine going to Mexico, burning the Mexican flag, waving the American flag, and saying pro-America chants? Yeah, about 10 seconds before the cartels roll right up on you. Yet here we are, letting foreign nationals run wild in our streets, egged on by none other than the Mexican president herself, who's called for Mexicans to protest in the U.S., despite the fact that the reverse is completely and totally illegal in her country. Don't let the media fool you into thinking that these riots are some grassroots uprising. This isn't organic, it's orchestrated. They've got shields, the plywood kind that would take days to make. They're bringing babies to these protests, hoping to force some kind of twisted sympathy from the public. They're putting up blockades under overpasses. They're pallets of cinder blocks waiting to be used on the streets, and it's all being orchestrated by shadow communist NGOs, well-funded, well-organized activists who hate this country. They're the ones pulling the strings here. You don't get this level of coordinated destruction without someone footing the bill. It's being bankrolled. Someone with an agenda to tear down this country. The whole mess proves at least this. Unless we fix mass immigration, illegal immigration, nothing else matters. You can talk about tax cuts and infrastructure or healthcare all day long, but if we don't secure our borders, we're just rearranging the deck chairs on a sinking Titanic. These riots are a symptom of a deeper disease, a refusal to enforce our laws, a refusal to prioritize Americans over illegals. California's leaders have chosen to side with invaders over citizens, and now L.A. pays the price. Newsom's defiance of federal law isn't just bad policy, it's a page straight out of the Civil War playbook. Jefferson Davis, as I said, would be proud. Encouraging a state to thumb its nose at the federal government, sowing division that could spark something far worse than riots. So where do we go from here? We need to end sanctuary state nonsense and start deporting those who break our laws, and we need to send a clear message. America is not your playground. It's not your doormat. You don't get to wave a foreign flag, burn our cities, and demand a free lunch. This is our home. We're going to take it back. Donald Trump knew it, by the way. That's why he was hired. Donald Trump knew it. That's why he was hired, right? No question. Please support the people that support this program that make it possible every day. Here's one that will really help you out. Do you have a well in your yard? Do you have well water? Well, if you do, you're already halfway to a geothermal system. Just add a well connect in as little as 8 hours and start saving big money. You'll cut your heating and cooling costs by up to 90%. Extend the life of your furnace. Cool your home much more efficiently, too. All without major renovation. It's the fastest, most affordable way to bring geothermal home. Learn more at wellconnectgeo.com. It's made in Michigan, so it's an American-made product built for your well. Any place in the northern part of the United States. You put in a WellConnect geothermal system, you will save big money. In fact, if you finance the system, your savings will exceed your payment, and that's how it works so damn well. And by the way, there's some government subsidies out there that could run out by the end of the year. You want to save 30%? You want to find out more about how to heat and cool your home for 90% less? 90%. Thousands of them already out there working for people today. WellConnect Geo, wellconnectgeo.com. You can find out more right now. Look, it's a great system. American-made ingenuity. There it is, folks. WellConnectGeo.com. I'll take a break and be right back. All right, back to it now. Big protests are scheduled this weekend. So if you haven't had enough of the rioting in Los Angeles, you'd like it to come closer to home, well, good news, it could this coming weekend. The No Kings protest is being called. No Kings protest. They're suggesting Donald Trump is king. A nationwide day of defiance, organizers write. From city blocks to small towns, from courthouse steps to community parks, we're taking action to reject authoritarianism. More than 100 pro-democracy advocacy groups are partnering to organize the No Kings event. Donald Trump wants tanks in the streets and a made-for-TV display of dominance for his birthday, says the No Kings website. A spectacle meant to look like strength, but real power isn't staged in Washington. It rises up everywhere else. Millions of people are estimated to protest in 1,500 cities across all 50 states and commonwealths. It's because there's going to be a military parade, a parade to celebrate America's 250th anniversary of the United States Army. It's coming up on Flag Day, Saturday. Flag Day happens to be Donald Trump's birthday. He'll be 79. The Army predicts it will spend $25 million on the plan. D.C. is really not known for having military parades, but it's something Donald Trump has talked about since his first term. You know, He went to a military school. He has pride in the military and law and order and the uniform. And that's part of what we're seeing here. He has pride in all of this. He certainly does. So the No Kings protest coming to a city near you. I'm going to go on the website and look at it now, and you can tell me. On Monday, what happened in your part of the country? By the way, I will be in D.C. covering that parade, the military parade. I will be there covering it for Real America's Voice. I'll be in D.C. again this week covering it for you. All right? No Kings. Find out where it's coming to a town near you. All right? I'll take a break and be right back. Kicking off another big hour here on the Steve Gruber Show. I'm glad you're right here with us as we continue on. Ryan McDermott is the author of Downriver, a memoir on the warrior poet and former senior Pentagon official. He says the American dream is not what it used to be. It's a time of uncertainty, but I think it's always been uncertain in America. Nothing is ever guaranteed, but maybe it's farther away than it used to be. Ryan, welcome to the program.
Steve, thanks for having me on today.
This story talks about your journey through war, ambition, loss, redemption, all of these things on the edge of Father's Day weekend here. Real men need to stand up and be heard, that's for sure. Tell me about Downriver. Tell me about this journey that you're on.
Thank you, Steve. Downriver is my story of the Iraq War, working on Lehman Brothers, and the quiet battles that followed me home. PTSD, fatherhood, and the long road to healing. I led an infantry platoon into Iraq at 24 years of age in 2003. Came back and decided to leave the Army, chase success in finance. In 2007, Lehman Brothers was looking like a great place to be. 2008, when I joined the firm full time, it went bankrupt, and I was out of a job not long after. I nearly lost myself in the process. This Father's Day, Downriver, a Memoir of a Warrior Poet, is really a tribute, not just to dads who've served in Iraq, but to all the fathers carrying, all the burdens we do as providers and in the roles we are as fathers. It's about breaking silence and showing strength when we choose to show some vulnerability and set forth a path to rebuild.
So what is the American dream today? You say that young people are skeptical of the American dream. The American dream, in my estimation, work hard, make something of yourself, build a life for yourself and your family. But what is it to you?
Well, that's something I explore in the book at the end, really, at the beginning and the end, because it was sort of like, what is the purpose of my, sort of my life, and what of the dream? I think some of it is, sort of cornerstone is sort of what we can achieve as individuals. But what I really focus on in the book at the end, especially, is really focusing on the strength of our communities, our families. And if we sort of measure our American dream, it's there's ups and downs to careers and so forth. But, if we focus on the relationships we have with our children, with our friends and family, that's if you put your focus on that, I think we are more successful in general, both individually and as a community, as a country. But certainly, the economy's changing. And I think that also, the way the world is, there's a lot of change and uncertainty, and that affects people's ability to think about, predict what the future is going to look like. And I know I have 3 children, and they're looking ahead and uncertain what their future is going to hold in terms of career. But I try to emphasize to them that a big focus on the relationships, friends you have, and community, because that's, to me, is probably the most important thing as an American.
Yeah, it's always been uncertain, though, hasn't it, Ryan? I mean, nothing in life is guaranteed, is it?
That's what makes life interesting. The river is an analogy I use throughout the book, and there's this idea that there's all these twists and winds. Sometimes there's rapids in front of you, but you can't see the calm waters beyond. And that's part of what makes our life interesting, I think.
So what about America in 2025? What about what we're seeing in the headlines today about debt and deficits, or the rioting on the streets of L.A., and others demanding law and order? I mean, but I think it's always been that way. There's always been upheaval and rapids and calm water that follows. I think that's been a pattern throughout not just American history, but history in general, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think, as I talk about my book, I really, there's some things that can be applied. As an individual, what I did is I spent 15 years really looking back and making sense of the past. And some of these, what we call them, traumas or crises or whatever you want to say, like 2008 financial crisis, the wars, just over time, dealing with the loss of friends, that has an impact on the psyche of looking forward. And I think one of the things as a country we have to do is acknowledge what we've been through as a country, be able to continue to talk reasonably, and have at least have where I really draw strength from is my kids and their future, and really trying to make sure that, what I'm doing today is setting up for their future. And I think, as a society, that's something that can be really a unifying thing, is to really say, hey, this is the vision for the future, and this is what we're trying to do. And so for my kids, that's really where I come out in the book, is to really put the focus on their future.
Yeah. You talk about PTSD in your book, and you talk about fathers. Obviously, Father's Day coming up this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But you talk that a lot of dads out there are in need of some repair. I think that's true. But what we need in this country are fathers in general, men that look after their families, people that stand up straight and say, look, I got to look out for my family. Too many fathers are too willing to give up and disappear, in my estimation. We need real men. To
Yeah,
stand
no,
up and be
absolutely.
real leaders.
Steve, that's an important thing. And there's actually there's an acknowledgement in my book. It's actually very raw that I talk about that realization that I had, through my career path, had lost sight of that, and that was the most important thing. And returning to that, the book sort of, not to sort of give away the ending, but the book sort of ends with my son going off to West Point and having he just graduated a couple weeks ago. So I absolutely agree. I think the foundation of the family is extremely important. My son Brandon wrote the afterword. He talks about the need for, sort of the importance of family structure in his life, his faith, and because that's really, the cornerstone of our society.
Well, congratulations to your son. I was at that graduation.
Oh, great.
I was there to share it with the world in the long gray line. So congratulations to your son and to you for producing a West Point graduate. You're obviously doing something right. Again, I think you should look the book up. The book is Downriver, a memoir of a warrior poet and former senior Pentagon official. And I think it's interesting, Ryan, what you've written here. And I appreciate you sharing it. Where can people find it real quick?
Steve, I think the easiest is to look it up on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, Bookshop. Online is probably the easiest availability.
Greatly appreciate you, Ryan. Best of luck and happy Father's Day.
Steve, same to you. Thank you very much.
There you have it. Ryan McDermott, everybody. Yeah, I was at that graduation, a very special moment for me. It was. First time I've been to a West Point graduation. Listen, I'd like you to follow along with some of the things that Ivy and I are doing because we're learning so much from Hillsdale College and their online courses. It is remarkable. It really is. You can find out more at gruberforhillsdale.com. I bring it to your attention because there's so much frustration now in this country. You see it in the streets of L.A. You see it with the open borders. You wonder how we got here, how Congress is supposed to work. Well, that's one of the programs you can find at Hillsdale. It'll tell you why Congress is designed this way, why gridlock is kind of there not by accident, but by design. And you can follow along as we learn as well. It's a 7-part series, this one, but there are 40 different programs that are all free from Hillsdale about the Constitution, about Christianity in early America, all sorts of things to share with you. To share, you can look at them yourself. You can look at them with a grandkid, your spouse, binge watch. It's kind of fun. Gruberforhillsdale.com. Find out more. Go look today. You're going to like what you find. I promise you. Gruberforhillsdale.com. Check it out. I'll be right back. Are you tired? Welcome back to the program. My next guest has been on this program for years now because she changed my life. I did My Pure Health back in 2018. I lost 47 pounds in 63 days, doing it her way. No drugs, no pharmaceuticals, eating real food, not, replacement shakes and nonsense either. Missy Malone with me from My Pure Health. Missy, nice to see you.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
All right, so the real question is, what do we know about metabolism? Because that's what it comes down to oftentimes. Your program is about real food and real people and honestly, real results.
Absolutely. We approach helping people get to the root of why their metabolism is actually broken. Most people don't know why their metabolism broke down to begin with, and we're here to help them to turn it back on.
And here's the thing. You scan people. You scan my body and your body. You look for different frequencies. We've heard Nikola Tesla. You go back in time, you talk about him sometimes because everything's a frequency. Your body runs on a frequency, but my frequency is different than yours, and that's important because it's not a one-size-fits-all for everybody out there. My way to lose weight is different than yours. I have foods that I learned from your program. Rice, for example. I like it, but it likes to stick around with me, and I get a little chubby if I eat too much rice. It's different for everybody, isn't it?
It's a food trigger for you, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, why we have to get to the root of the cause, it starts on the inside. The weight loss industry out there, the $90 billion industry out there that's not working, because obviously you look around us, we still are the most obese nation in the world. What's causing the metabolism to be broken down? It starts with 2,800 biological markers on the inside of the body. And so, yes, we do a scan thanks to Nikola Tesla, who 1,900 years ago showed the world some pretty incredible things. So we are able to measure frequencies. There are 2,800 biological markers in the body, and each one of those markers is a cell. And if the frequency inside the cell is not functioning, you're going to have a broken down metabolism, and therefore we need to give you a customized approach, customized weight loss formulas and detox formulas, and then show you how to eat real food, and your metabolism turns on day one.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple of folks, a few folks, in fact, that are on these GLP-1s, the injection. They get them once a week. But once they start that process, it's forever. It's for the rest of their life. Your program, I did it in 2018. I did it for exactly 63 days. I'm done with it. I'm over. I don't have to pay month after month. I have the results to show for what I did, and you're not hooked on some pharmaceutical forever. I think that's a big plus to me.
It's a huge plus. I mean, I tell people all the time, if the power goes out in your living room, you're watching TV, the power goes out, you're going to walk over to the breaker box and find the button that says living room and flip it on, and the power comes back on in the living room, and no one calls that a miracle. It shouldn't be a miracle when we turn the power back on to what's controlling the metabolism inside the body. You start to burn fat right off the gates.
And it doesn't matter where you live. Anywhere in the country, you've got a scanner, if you will. You can send it to somebody's house. Now, if you want to go to their office, you can do that. But anywhere in America, I think you have clients in just about all 50 states now and some foreign countries.
Absolutely.
You get your body scanned. It'll start telling you, here's where you're out of whack. Here's what needs attention. Here's what you need. And so you come back with some supplements. You come back with a game plan for that person specifically, and only that person, right?
Absolutely. We get a customized. What causes people to lose the weight is when we customize a weight loss formula and a detox formula for you, because you're going to be shocked when you see what type of toxins are actually out there and that's going on inside your body. If you have toxins in your body, those toxins are going to cause damage. Possibly, maybe that's why you're on medication.
Yeah, they're getting expelled. In fact, you've had some real amazing results. I know we've got some pictures for the folks watching. For example, this lady here. I mean, it's life-changing. I've had people call this program on Free for All Friday and say, hey, Steve, Rich from North Carolina, he called a couple weeks ago and said, hey, I lost, what did he lose? Over 100 pounds, right?
Over 100 pounds. The guy's on fire. Yeah. I mean, he's an amazing, everyone has results, because when you fix the problem, you're going to burn fat. I mean, it is what it is. And then after we get you to shape shift, lose the weight, we're going to show you how to keep it off for good, because it does no good to have, that isn't good for us if you gain it back.
That's right.
Not our goal.
That's right. See, and look at me.
Yeah.
Folks, I did it. If I can do it, you can do it. The good news, and we're rolling through some pictures here of people that have lost serious weight. And the thing is, again, I want to say this. You're not taking a heavy chemical. You're not on it for life. You go through the program. Is a friend of mine who used to be on your program always said, if you don't cheat, It works, and it does work.
It does work. There is a method to our madness. We've been doing this for over a dozen years, and we have people from all over the United States now, thanks to you, not only getting off their blood pressure medication, but off a type 2 diabetic medication within the first week. We don't tell you to come off of it, but your body's going to let you know when you see your insulin, when you are looking to see what your day's blood work is.
Right, absolutely. And people, you've heard these stories. I've heard these stories. They go to the doctor goes, what did you do?
Yeah, well, one of your listeners did the program, and he got off a low dose of chemotherapy medication he'd been on for 10 years. The doctor's like, I don't know what happened, but when you heal from the inside out, your metabolism is directly connected to your health. So if you're on medication, high blood pressure medication, type 2 diabetic medication, cholesterol medication, acid reflux medication, sleep apnea, whatever, the body knows how to heal and repair if you know how to communicate with the body. And that's
in some cases, that's right, Nikola Tesla. You just gave that whole laundry list.
Yeah.
Sometimes you meet people that have the entire list that they're dealing with. Obesity, type 2 diabetes, sleep apnea, all of it. You know, they have these issues. Depression, anxiety, because they feel lousy and they don't want to see the mirror and they don't want to go to family events because they know they're big and they don't want to be stared at and they don't want to hear the whispers in the background.
Right.
Don't let this happen to you.
No.
Folks, that's what I'm saying. Don't let that. I did the program. And as you know, anybody who listens to this program, I only endorse products and people that I've worked with. I can endorse both the product and the people because I endorse Missy too. If you want to find out more, go to gruberhealth.com right now. Gruberhealth.com. You can find out if your approach has been wrong. You can be a success story, and you don't have to be on this thing for life. You can get it fixed. Missy, thank you so much as always for being here, and thank you for changing people's lives.
Absolutely. Just remember, it's not your fault you can't lose weight. No one's ever told you how to do it.
Not your fault. They can help you through it. Gruberhealth.com. Find out more right now. Gruberhealth.com. We'll be right back. Patriots relief. You might notice a bit of haze in the air. It's happening again. Those dastardly Canadians with all their forest fires. No, it's not climate change. It happens every year. You end up with big fires because, well, it's that time of the year. Forest fires are a thing. They happen, right? Anyhow, fires across Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, British Columbia, all across the Canadian North, big fires, most of which are not contained. So you might see a whole bunch of, haze in the air. The other thing that I saw over the weekend, man, where I am, the cottonwoods are putting on a performance right now. It was so much cotton in the air from the cottonwood trees, it looked like it was snowing out there. Maybe you've seen the same thing. And then go out to use the grill. It's the grill's like green, because of pollen. The bees are happy. We're trying the bee thing again. Brother Shane giving us a second shot at the bees. And they seem to be thriving this year. We didn't have as much luck last year with our 2 hives. This year it looks like they're thriving. I hope they continue that. We give them plenty of food around here at the farm. A lot of different flowers to work with. If you're looking to take control of your health, as a wellness company, they offer formulated, personalized supplements and care to boost your wellness. Whether it's immune support, heart health, or just feeling your best every day, they've got you covered. Become a member and enjoy exclusive access to expert consultations, premium products, and health content. If you're ready to start, visit twc.health/Gruber. Do that now. Use the promo code Gruber. You'll save 10%. The Wellness Company. The Wellness Company. Your health, your way. Go to twc.health/Gruber. By the way, the hot thing right now is the ivermectin mebendazole parasite cleanse. It is the hottest thing going. I'm telling you. I've been doing it now. I'm just about done. Just about done with my 21 days. It's been a real eye-opener. It's been terrific. Hottest thing out there. By the way, if you do it now, you can save $60 and get free shipping on the product. That can all be found at twc.health/Gruber as well. Coming up in the next hour, Michael Toth will be here, an attorney. We're going to talk about lawfare against American innovation. That's what a tech lawyer is warning us about. Trump urges Europe to reform unfair tax policies. And Steve Turley will be here. Dr. Steve Turley, always entertaining when he's in the room. It's all coming up. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. It's all live for the next 2 hours. Don't miss any of it on The Steve Gruber Show. All right, kicking off another big hour here of the program. Glad to have you on board live from Studio G, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom. I am the voice of reason out here in a wilderness of stupidity. Yeah, the Steve Gruber Show often results in extended periods of American pride, optimism, and enthusiasm in America's future, live in all 50 states and all over the world. Yeah, it's a dirty job, but I'm going to roll up my sleeves and do it. 3 big things you need to know. Number 1, Waymo, the driverless car service, calling it quits in Los Angeles. Why? Because their cars are getting torched by the rioters, but at least it's mostly peaceful, right? Number 2, anti-Trump forces gathering on Saturday, calling for mass protests around the country to demand more illegals come in and more get to stay here. It's being coined the No Kings protests. And number 3, the violence on the streets of Los Angeles is continuing. Despite the National Guard being called in and now U.S. Marines being tasked with keeping the peace, protecting federal buildings. Is that the right move? What do you think? People are wondering, should the Marines be there? What do you think about that? I'd like you to drop me a note. Go to stevegruber.com. Send me an email, right? Tell your friends. Follow me on social media. We're live every day on YouTube, Facebook, X, all over the place. We've built a movement here, and you're part of it. But we need to grow. We need to grow because the people that are supporting these riots in Los Angeles and so forth, getting all the attention, that's not who we are. But putting the Marines into Los Angeles, what do you think about that? The National Guard has gone in 2,000 troops so far, another 2,000 on the way. 500 to 700 Marines that'll be there, we're told, to defend federal property. Donald Trump asked about the idea of a civil war being pushed by Gavin Newsom. Here's how he responded.
What do you make of the fact that he says, you want a civil war on the streets of America?
No, that's just the opposite. I don't want a civil war. A civil war would happen if you left it to people like him. And I liked him. You know, I always got along with him. Never had a problem with him. But he's grossly incompetent.
But he's grossly incompetent. Do not support the idea of a civil war, but Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, grossly incompetent, according to the president. By the way, if there's going to be civil unrest and Gavin Newsom's going to blame Donald Trump, then why would Democrats be calling on people to run over police officers? Run over them. Here's one of those Democrats, one of those peace-seeking Democrats doing exactly that. Listen.
We are labor, and we move the agenda to support working families all over the country. And if somebody gets in our way, shame on them, because we're going to run right over them, aren't we? Shame! It's time to make your voices heard. Shame on us if we don't get out there and fight like hell every single day and make our voices heard. We've got to do that because we are united. We are right, and we're going to stand up, and we're going to fight like hell every single day. Are you ready to fight? Yeah! Are you ready to fight? Yeah! Are you ready to make your voices heard? Yeah! Let's do it. Thank you.
Run over those that get in your way. Run over those that get in your way, like police officers, right? By the way, one of the things that is so pronounced, and look, the Republicans couldn't pay for this kind of publicity. Donald Trump couldn't pay for this kind of publicity as the news media in places like ABC, like we shared in the last hour, talk about how these are peaceful protests and everything's going fine while cars are burning in the streets. They're just people having fun watching cars burn in the streets. Just people having fun watching cars burn in the streets. That's what they said on ABC, right? And they're all out there protesting America, the nation that gave them freedom, the ability to protest, while waving Mexican flags, the place that they apparently don't want to go. Mexico's so great they don't want to be deported back to Mexico. Mexico is so wonderful that they're waving Mexican flags while dumping on America. Pretty remarkable, really, isn't it? And all of this stems from Joe Biden's incompetence. He was never an open borders guy, but his incompetence allowed it to happen because he was not present. So, with all the Mexican flags, I want to take a measurement, if you will. Here is a Mexican American who calls out those protesting with their Mexican flags in their hands. It's kind of interesting. Listen.
It's straight. Just so I could clarify it. You don't want to go back to Mexico. You're protesting to stay away from Mexico. But you're waving the Mexican flag and you're waving it with pride. You're waving it in the United States, the country you're trying to stay in, the country you don't want to leave. But yet you're waving the Mexican flag with pride. Okay. That seems normal to you? That seems logical? That's not stupid at all? None of that's stupid. All right. You guys are an embarrassment to the Mexican culture and to the United States culture. You guys are an embarrassment to everybody around you, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
An embarrassment to everyone around you, to Mexican culture, to American culture, to thinking people everywhere. Boy, does he nail it, right? So you wave the Mexican flag while protesting being sent to Mexico. Yeah, that's who we're dealing with. Mexico's the greatest. America is awful. America's so bad, you keep coming here. Here. For government handouts and opportunities. Yeah, people vote with their feet, don't they? They sure do. Oh, and by the way, I told you about the No Kings protest coming Saturday. They say there'll be millions of people protesting around the country. Donald Trump was elected to get illegals out of this country. Two big issues, the economy and national security by way of the border. Here's the call for the national uprising on Saturday. Listen.
In a world where truth is treason and justice is bought at auction, the people are waking up. June 14th, no kings, no silence, no turning back. See you there.
Oh, good Lord. And then, let me make a prediction for you. And then, these clowns will blame Donald Trump. They'll have uprisings in Minneapolis and Cleveland and Chicago and Jacksonville and Baltimore and wherever else. And then these clowns will blame Donald Trump for the violence. That's what will happen. These clowns will blame Donald Trump for the violence that they create, that they instigate, as they antagonize and go after people. Well, look for some counter-protesters. I'll be at the parade on Saturday in D.C. I'm guessing there'll be plenty of protesters there as well. I'll take a break. I'll be back. When I come back, we got Dr. Steve Turley coming up and Michael Toth. Trump urging Europe to reform unfair tax policies. It's important stuff. We'll be right back. You know, multiple fronts in this war to get trade and free trade and capitalism back on good footing, you know. We hear about the Chinese coming after our intellectual property. They do that every day. They send their students here to fleece our intellectual property, to take it back home and give us nothing for it. But it's not just the Chinese, it's a lot of folks. Michael Toth is an attorney, research fellow at the Civitas Institute of the University of Texas, Austin. He's joining me now because he says it's Europeans' lawfare against American innovation we also need to be concerned about. Michael, thank you for being here.
Oh, it's so great to be on with you. And Steve, yeah, it's just me who says that. President Trump has said that. I mean, he said that the Europeans actually treat the U.S. worse than China.
In some ways, that's probably true. We have knocked out a deal with UK on the trade issues and got rid of the tariffs and so forth. But what about unfair tax policies in the EU that also create problems for our tech industry? Tell me about that, Michael.
Yeah, I'd love to. So, the EU is a huge issue for American companies. It's 27 countries that act as a single bloc. And what President Trump has pointed out is these 27 countries that act as a single bloc, they realize the amount of leverage that they have. American companies can't just avoid doing business in Europe. And how is Europe using the power that they have? They're trying to put a regulatory stranglehold on American companies. And that's what my piece in the Hill is all about. And that's what the Trump administration is trying to solve. President Trump made that point real clear in his press conference in May when he announced the 50% tariffs. It's about time that an American administration is standing up for American companies.
So when they act as one, I mean, there are a lot of conversations ongoing with the EU to put in trade policies that are fair to the United States. I believe we'll get there. I believe we'll get there with everybody, just a matter of time. But give me some examples of what the EU has done. You know, and I'm concerned about the EU for a variety of reasons, Michael. Look at the way that they're clamping down on free speech. I mean, if you post something that they don't like on Facebook, they knock on your door at 3 in the morning and arrest you. It's crazy. There is no free speech in Europe. They want central bank digital currencies for all so they can control every aspect of your financial life. And if they control that, they can tell you what you're allowed to buy, what you're not allowed to buy. I mean, this is all part of the United Nations plan for 2030, isn't it?
Steve, you've put your finger exactly on the pulse here. Europe is trying to be a regulatory superpower, right? We think about the United States of America, our great company. We're an economic superpower. We're lifting people out of poverty. We're providing economic opportunity across all income levels. That's what we're doing in the United States. Europe is taking a very, very different approach, and it's getting clearer and clearer and clearer. So you asked for some examples about the discriminatory taxes. What they do in Europe is they set taxes up and they have these arbitrary levels, right? Where if you go above a certain level, then you're subject to extremely onerous taxes. Well, guess what? The only companies that are above those levels are American companies. So I talk in the piece about these digital taxes that apply to American companies, and the Europeans are completely honest about it. They refer to these taxes as a GAFA tax, referring to Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon. Well, guess what all those companies have in common? They're all American companies. And so it's in the digital space, it's in the energy space for some of the climate rules that they have in Europe. You know, what Europe is doing is trying to set the rules for the way the world economy works because of the power that they have. And so the U.S. needs to stand up against that. And we need to do it for economic reasons, but we also need to do it for constitutional reasons, like you pointed out, around free speech. So this is a real battle. I think the president has played his cards very well. Like you said, he got a deal with the UK. He's warming up for this real battle that we're going to be having this summer with Europe.
Yeah, you know, and as we sit here talking about censorship and so forth, I just got a notice from YouTube that me pointing out that the Houthis should not be sinking American ships was flagged on YouTube. Yeah, it just popped up while we're sitting. So it's all this regulatory nation idea. If people think it can't happen in America, it happens every day here in America, every single day. Censorship, a clamping on free speech. And look, I've said this a number of times on this program, Michael. I believe that the First Amendment of the United States Constitution is the envy of the world. The envy of the world. And yet, people here would have it destroyed, wouldn't they?
Yeah, it's that. I mean, here's another obvious thing that we have in the United States that they don't have in Europe, which is reliable, affordable energy, right? And you look at what the European regulatory estate is doing. I mean, they took the climate agenda from the United States and they put it on steroids. You know, I think they operate based on acronym fatigue. You know, they throw out all these acronyms in their regulations and they just figure people are gonna zone out. But they had two major regulations in Europe that basically took what we were thinking about doing under the Biden administration and they cubed it, they squared it, they made it exponentially larger. And what does it all do, right? You saw the news from Europe just last month. You know, blackouts in Portugal, blackouts in Spain, right? You know, you've got working people who are trying to put food on their table, like you said, Steve, who want to live a life where they can think what they want to think, they can say what they want to say, they want to put food on the table. And the European way is very much like what we saw during the previous administration. It makes these basic desires that people have for economic opportunity and the ability to speak their mind, it makes them impossible and really subject to the whims of the elites. You know, I mean, that's what it comes down to, Steve, from my perspective.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that, Mike. Look, they sit there and they give you the illusion of free speech, the illusion of free elections, the illusion that you have some say as a person casting a ballot in a republic like the United States, but really, do we? I'm not sure. Mike Toth, greatly appreciate you being here. You can find his work, brand new op-ed today in The Hill. All right? Find it, Michael Toth. Sir, thank you.
Hey, great to be with you, Steve. Let's do it again.
Let's do it again sometime soon. There you have Mr. Toth. I greatly appreciate it. Look, the freedom of speech is under attack all the time. I just got a warning, seriously, from YouTube. We're talking about the Houthi rebels that have been attacking American ships for months. And I'm wrong. Ha! Okay, we'll take a break and be right back. All right, here we are back to it now. Look, so much going on. Another Chinese scholar at the University of Michigan, another one, arrested for bringing in a pathogen to the United States. Federal agents arresting a second University of Michigan scholar from China smuggling biological material into the United States, according to a criminal case filed on Monday. The case against Cheng Huan Han represents the third time in less than 2 weeks that a Chinese national with ties to the university has been charged with federal crimes. Han charged with smuggling and lying to federal agents about packages she mailed to a University of Michigan professor laboratory from September of 24 through March of this year. And here's the part that'll really make you feel good about the alleged smuggling of biological materials from this alien from a science and technology university in Wuhan, China, to be used at the University of Michigan lab as part of an alarming pattern that threatens our security, says interim U.S. Attorney Jerome Gorgon. The American taxpayer should not be underwriting a People's Republic of China-based smuggling operation at one of our crucial public institutions. Amen and amen. Here they are again, right? here they are again. We'll be following up on that one for you because it's a big deal. 1775 Coffee just launched Rejuvenate. It's the first anti-aging coffee of its kind. If you love coffee like I do, you're going to love this. Rejuvenate from 1775 Coffee, the first ever coffee infused with CAAKG, a clinically studied ingredient that supports strength, energy, and healthy aging at the cellular level. Here's the deal. Our CAAKG levels drop as we age. That means slower recovery, lower energy, feeling older than we should. But now there's a simple way to fight back without changing your routine. Rejuvenate. Real coffee, just smarter. Same bold flavor, same daily ritual, but now it's fueling your body with more. And right now you can grab the longevity bundle. Over $250 worth of premium coffee and gear for just 99 bucks. There's a catch. Only 1,000 bundles were made. When they're gone, they're gone. You'll get 2 bags of Rejuvenate anti-aging coffee. A rare Peabody roast like this. Just 5% of the beans on earth qualify, and exclusive 1775 gear you won't find in stores. Go to 1775coffee.com/Gruber. Grab yours now. 1775coffee.com/Gruber. Get started right now. Nothing says I want to stay in America more than waving a Mexican flag and crapping all over America. That's, apparently that's the plan. Keep screaming how awful America is while waving Mexican flags, setting American flags on fire, throwing chunks of concrete at police and federal agents at all levels, actually. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with. Dr. Steve Turley is here to help me deal with it and try to understand the insanity we're dealing with. Turley, nice to see you again today.
So, Stephen, it's great to be with you. Like I said beforehand, I don't have enough butter for this one. My popcorn is getting dry. This is awesome.
It's bizarre. It is. And so now, but wait. It's getting better, Turley, in case you missed it. The No Kings protest this weekend. The No Kings protest, 1,600 cities, millions of people. Are we going to wave American flags or burn American flags and wave the Mexican flag from Baltimore to Boston to Seattle? Is that the plan?
Right. No Kings, but go ahead and assault ICE agents. That's right. Cool. And that's the thing, that in the end, when all's said and done, you have legal and you have illegal. And who's engaging in illegal activity here and who's engaging in perfectly legal activity? It's not even hard. If you don't want National Guard troops in your backyard, don't attack ICE agents. How many ICE agents have you attacked of late, Stephen?
So far, I haven't punched any. I've successfully not thrown any concrete off overpasses, hitting any police vehicles in the
LA law enforcement. Exactly.
What was remarkable, I just listened to a piece from ABC. I should pull it up here for you. Talking about, it's just some people having fun watching cars burn. That's what the reporter said on ABC. They're just people having fun watching cars burn. I can't even make that up.
I have it if you want
to. Wait. Hold on, Charlie. We've got it right here. Go ahead, Anthony.
Let me see. Large group of people. It could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation and altercation between officers and demonstrators.
So it could turn volatile if you send the police in to stop people from setting cars on fire. They're just having fun watching cars burn. That's ABC News. Really?
Yeah. So volatility bad, burning cars, which I thought was rather volatile, good.
That's good. In fact, it's so bad that Waymo had a bunch of its driverless cars burned. The Waymo cars were apparently they were easy to corner, and the computer couldn't figure it out so they just set them on fire. So Waymo's out. They said we're done in Los Angeles, as an example.
Good for them. Good for them. That's a beautiful symbol of what the Democratic Party is doing to itself, what Gavin Newsom is doing to his political career. They are burning it in real time. We were talking about
how do they sit there, Turley? How do they sit there with a straight-faced Newsom, perfect example, and say this is Donald Trump's fault? And no, this is Joe Biden left the border open. You've got all these people waving Mexican flags, dumping on America, crapping all over us. Well, if Mexico is so great and you want to dump on America, dude, go there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, because he can't. He's trying to deflect. He can't defend attacking ICE agents. He can't defend throwing concrete blocks on from a bridge or overpass down on LAPD. He can't defend that, but he's got to, in a sense, because he's got to say, like Mayor Bass is saying, we support all Angelians. We support, or Angelia, whatever her new term is. Yeah, exactly. We support wherever you come from. We support. And look, this isn't hard. On June 27th, 2024, the mask came off. Biden was exposed before the entire world of being a senile, feeble man. I think on June 7th of 2025, the Democrats have been exposed to the world as being the party of the illegal migrants, being the party of lawbreakers, being the party and then the irony of it, Stephen, can you remind me what happened a couple of summers back when 50 or so illegal migrants showed up at Martha's Vineyard? Do you remember? I forget who they called.
Panic. There wasn't enough Xanax. There was not enough Xanax on Martha's Vineyard to pass around from mom and dad to keep them calm. They 50. Oh my! We have no way to take care of these people. We have no way to.
They called the National Guard. They called the National Guard.
They did. They could live at the Obama estate, all 50 of them, and not run into each other.
That's true. It's very true. It's very true. They're just committing suicide here. This is, Stephen, if there were ever an 80-20 issue, this is it. You look at the issues of Trump's polling. Border security and mass deportations consistently pull number one among all of his issues, and most of his issues are on the 80 side of the 80-20. This is it, and it's going on all over the world. It's not just here in the United States. The reason why the populist right is surging throughout Europe, precisely this: border security.
Yeah, and let me tell you
Populations
something.
want their border security.
You bring a great point up here, and I go to the only poll that I really trust as far as presidential approval numbers, and that's Rasmussen. Mark Mitchell does a great job there. My good friend Mark Mitchell over there doing a great job. Today it's Trump +3, 51-48. He's not losing support. He's maintaining solid support. A poll from Trafalgar out of Atlanta, and Bob Cahaley has it at +8 for Trump. His polls are also quite good because these guys are looking at likely voters, not registered voters, not adults, likely voters. And likely voters support what Trump's doing, and they do not support what's happening in Los Angeles. That's true. What do you think is going to happen with this No Kings protest? If it wasn't loved in Los Angeles, think about how they take it to 1,600 cities across the nation on Saturday. What do you think is going to happen then?
Yeah, I think Trump has made it very clear this is not going to be the summer of love. This is, as one commentator put it, this is going to be the summer of the steel glove. He is not kidding around here. So for me, let them protest to their blue in the face. Let them wave their Mexican flags and their Palestinian flags and El Salvadoran flags. And if it gets out of hand, that is Trump's cue to crack down on this. And you're going to hear every single bona fide American cheer on that.
Absolutely true. You know, it's interesting. I didn't notice this pattern before, but I'll share it with you. There are only 3 polls of likely voters on Real Clear Politics. 3 polls of likely voters when it comes to Trump's approval. All of them have Trump anywhere from 3 to 11 points on the positive. 3 to 11.
Yeah, margin,
Of likely.
Rich Barris of the People's Pundit, he was the #1 most accurate pollster of 2024. He has not released the numbers. He just shared them with his audience yesterday. 53.1% approval. It shot up big time, and his disapproval went down by about 10 points on Sunday when all of this was fully breaking out. So
yeah, the one problem though,
it's an 80-20 issue.
Yeah, there is one problem, and I'm serious about this, and it is an issue that needs to be addressed, and that's the spending and the big beautiful bill. There are Trump voters that are concerned about that. I'm one of them. I am concerned about the level of spending that has to be leveled off. I understand what they're doing, but there has to be some rational, clear thinking to go into that. We'll talk about that next time. Charlie, don't be so conceited and not show up. I mean, come on.
Hey man, it's never too early for Charlie. I can come on over anytime.
I'm just giving you a hard time, Charlie. Nice to see you.
Great seeing you, Stephen.
There you have it. All right. It's been a while. He should be on a little bit more often. He's always fired up and ready to go. Dr. Steve Turley. You can find him online, all sorts of places. I'll take a break. It is the Steve Gruber Show. You know, I've been watching these videos, and it's remarkable how social justice usually hinges on how many pairs of shoes you can take from Michael Jordan's store or the Skechers store, or how many cases of liquor you can get out of the local liquor outlet. Yeah, the looting in full swing in parts of Los Angeles now. This is part of we haven't talked about yet. But the small business owners, they've got to be able to defend themselves. Of course, they're not allowed to really in Los Angeles. But I go all the way back to the King riots, you know. The Korean business owners stood on top of their stores with AR-15s. Remember those scenes? Their stores didn't get looted. Bruce Torres is Director of Communications for the American Small Business League. He joins me now. Bruce, nice to have you on the program.
Honored to be here, Steve. How are you today?
I am well. Look, I don't know what would happen in today's world if you stood on top of your store with an AR-15. That's what happened during the Rodney King riots, 1992. The Koreatown owners, they didn't mess around. They stood right on top of their buildings, armed and ready, and they didn't get messed with. But you see these stores getting looted all over the place in Los Angeles right now. It's just shameless. It is. And these stores, no police around, no protection, windows smashed, inventory completely looted. What do you make of it?
Well, I would bet it's all intentional to have these results. I would bet that it's orchestrated by big money. Maybe they're always ready for these things. Maybe this particular incident was, well planned in advance. Maybe it's just an opportunity that, it escalated. So now they can pour in whatever effort to gin it up. I could be wrong. It could be all spontaneous. It could be the genuine outrage of neighborhoods that don't want a big scoop and a big sweep to pick up legal aliens and, legal immigrants and longtime residents. But as you alluded to, it sure does look suspicious, as we saw not only Rodney King, but then also Black Lives Matter 5 years ago with George Floyd. And that was all those all over the world, thousands of uprisings all over the world. I do not think that those were spontaneous. And I would bet this one isn't, just because of my knowledge of, history.
Yeah, I don't think it's accidental either. I think that these get funded. And I saw these high-tech helmets. There were scores of them coming out of the boxes, brand new, that had shields and helmets and so on. This is for the protest, not for the police, for the alleged protesters. I mean, how did they show up? A whole truckload of these things show up. I watched the video yesterday. There they are. And all these shields that they have. These shields aren't made overnight, right? I mean, this is all equipment being shipped in, plus the pallets of concrete and cinder blocks. Yeah,
I just saw a report about that just last night. Is that on the scene in LA? These pallets of rocks and cinder blocks and things.
Well, I've seen the cinder blocks coming in. I don't know if there's pallets of them, but they're certainly readily available, as I can tell, because they're flying from the overpasses, hitting LAPD vehicles right in the windshield. Crushing. I mean, I've watched these guys as the Border Patrol and ICE agents drive by. They're getting pelted with rocks and concrete, sometimes Molotov cocktails. I mean, this is... Right. People need to go to prison for a long time.
They do. And I want to just jump into a tangent about the importance of small business. Most folks don't know, Steve, that 99.9% of all businesses in America are small businesses with less than 500 employees. 98% have less than 100. That ought to be the real definition, the official definition of a small business. So you can't make America great again unless you make America's small businesses great again. So and everything that threatens them diminishes their influence, but especially obviously threatens them with violence are horrible things.
Yeah. So what can be done? I mean, you've got to be disgusted. You see no police protection for these. I mean, it's a Michael Jordan store, a Skechers store. I saw the liquor store. Those are just ones that I saw skimming through social media this morning. I mean, that's just what I saw this morning for the last day or two. Why is there no protection for these folks?
Right. Even one of the early reports on Friday or Saturday I read said that people were calling the police and they didn't show up for an hour or two. So this is a modern city. This is a failure along the lines of the failure of the response to the fires back in January. What can be done, Steve? It's talking about this for those who don't have a show and who aren't advocates for small business, to talk about it with friends, family, coworkers all the time, and inspire more, challenge more people for once in their life. If you've never contacted your mayor or your sheriff or your state representatives or your governor or your congressperson or your senator or the White House, spend a day just once in your life, contact them all about an issue that you care about, especially something like this.
Yeah. Time to speak up, time to protect the small business. And you're right, I agree with you on the definition. If there's less than 100 employees, that's a true small business. 500 gets to be a little bit big to me. I think the most employees ever has about 20. So I
think
get
that's
that.
I think the average business has 20 employees.
So
I
I'm
think
just average. Thank you for pointing that out, Bruce.
Well, wear that with pride, Steve. Wear that with.
Fair enough. All right. Bruce, I agree with you. We need to do more to protect and defend small business in America, period. I really appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you. And I steer people to asbl.com, our site. I don't know if we're out of time, are we?
No. You got it. Say it again.
Oh. asbl.com. You generously had my boss, Lloyd Chapman, on a few times, president and founder. And we expose an outrageous problem. The fact that every year the SBA falsifies compliance with the requirement that 23% of all federal contracts should be going to legitimate small businesses. And yet, through fraud, loopholes, and bad policies for decades now, Steve, up to 97% of federal contracts go to the 1/10 of 1% of huge companies that are huge in the United States.
Because of people that know people, and it's about lobbyists. The American Small Business League, ASBL.com. You can find out more. Bruce, thank you.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it. There you got it, ASBL.com. All right, time now to check in on sports with Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. The Florida Panthers are 2 wins away from winning the Stanley Cup for the second year in a row as they thrashed the Edmonton Oilers 6-1 to take Game 3 of the Stanley Cup final last night in Sunrise, Florida. Sam Reinhart, Carter Verhaeghe, and Evan Rodriguez each had a goal and an assist for the Panthers, and goalie Sergei Bobrovsky stopped 32 shots. Panthers now lead the series 2-1. Game 4 of the series is Thursday night in Florida. There were 9 games in Major League Baseball last night. American League winners included Tampa Bay, Toronto, and the LA Angels. National League winners included Philadelphia, Cincinnati, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. The last spot in the College Baseball World Series was determined last night as Murray State upset Duke 5-4 in Durham to clinch the Super Regional Series 2-1. It's the Racers' first ever trip to Omaha for the Men's College World Series, which begins on Friday. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, I got to test myself here, Brock. Murray State from Tennessee, is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Wow, there I go. I'm going to go ahead and give myself a gold star. Murray State. Nashville? I'm not sure exactly. I just know they're from
You're going to
Tennessee.
make me look it up.
Oh, well, while he's looking it up, we're going to give you a little preview of the next hour here on the program because John Fetterman, the senator from Pennsylvania, he's calling out the Democrats of their anarchy and chaos in Los Angeles. Yeah, Fetterman not impressed. And Bernie Sanders apparently not impressed. Nice.
It's Murray, Kentucky, by the way.
Oh, it's Murray, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Murray State from Murray. Well, I'll remember
the Racers.
that. Anyhow, brand new post from Elon Musk this hour as well, saying he wishes Donald Trump well after the strange meltdown he had. Lay off the drugs, Elon. Lay off the drugs. Just between friends, right? We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the No Kings protest. John Fetterman will dig into that and his rejection of the Democrats' chaos policies in L.A. and so much more. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, X. It's all live every single day. And you can be part of it here on the Steve Gruber Show. All right, launching, just like one of Elon Musk's bizarre tweets, into a brand new hour, lighting the fuse and getting things going. Quite a bang we're going to make here today. Live from Studio G, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom every single day. I am the voice of reason in a wilderness of stupidity out there. Remember, the Steve Gruber Show can result in extended periods of American pride. You have been warned. We're live in all 50 states, and here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, the No Kings protest is happening all across this country on Saturday. Number two, the U.S. Marines have deployed to Los Angeles. And number three, John Fetterman calling out the insanity of the Democrats. Yeah, it's 1, 2, and 3. It's 1, 2, and 3. Those are three big things you need to know. 1, 2, and 3. So John Fetterman here, the Democrat from Pennsylvania, who they fought so hard to get in, even after he had a very massive stroke during the campaign. Back, what was that, 3 years ago now? Yeah, he's become a maverick, a guy who the Democrats don't care for much. He spoke out against the anarchy and true chaos in Los Angeles, declaring the Democrats forfeit moral high ground if they do not decry the violence. I unapologetically stand for free speech, peaceful demonstrations, and immigration. But this is not that. This is anarchy and true chaos. My party loses the moral high ground when we refuse to condemn setting cars on fire, destroying buildings, and assaulting law enforcement. He put that out on X. He's right. Candidate for governor in Ohio, Vivek Ramaswamy, noted it's hard to preach hard truth to your own side. I respect this. Deputy White House Chief of Staff and Cabinet Secretary Taylor Budowich responded to Fetterman in a post, writing, "This is a wake-up call for many Democrats. There is no room for you in the party of Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris. Their self-obsessed pursuits of power are blind to you and your concerns. They defend chaos, reject biology, and are unbothered by the invasion of our nation." Senator Bernie Sanders, meanwhile, wrote this: Dr. King defeated racist government officials and ended segregation through disciplined, nonviolent resistance. Defeating Trumpism, oligarchy, and authoritarianism requires the same level of discipline. Violent protests are counterproductive and play right into Trump's playbook. By the way, if you missed it, 2,000 more National Guard members on their way to Los Angeles after another night of rioting and violence and looting. So it'll be 4,000 National Guard troops, about 500 to 700 United States Marines. They're there, the Marines were told, to defend federal buildings against the protesters. We'll keep an eye on that and let you know if something changes in that regard. Meanwhile, coming up Saturday, the No Kings protest, the counter-protest to Donald Trump. If the Democrats thought that Los Angeles wasn't loud enough and clear enough for the nation to see what was going on, they've decided to take it nationwide in the No Kings protest, June 14th. Of course, Donald Trump's having a parade for the military on its 250th anniversary of the United States Army. On the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army, Donald Trump is holding a parade in Washington. It'll be held from about 6:30 to 9:30 Saturday night in Washington, and it'll end with a big fireworks display. No Kings, for its part, writes this on its website: No Kings, a nationwide day of defiance. From city blocks to small towns, from the courthouse steps to community parks, we're taking action to reject authoritarianism. More than 100 advocacy groups are partnered to organize the No Kings event. Donald Trump wants tanks in the streets and a made-for-TV display of dominance for his birthday. A spectacle meant to look like strength, but real power isn't staged in Washington. It rises up everywhere else. So the No Kings event's coming To a town near you on Saturday. It sure is. Let's see here. I mean, I've got this. There's no King's Parade. This being written up everywhere. So you got that going on. Meanwhile, we're going to shift gears for a moment here. In New Jersey today, it's primary day. Republican Jack Ciattarelli endorsed him in the Republican race to be the gubernatorial nominee. It looks like Ciattarelli landed the president's endorsement a couple of weeks ago. I'm asking you to get out and vote for a true champion of the people, your state. Jack Ciattarelli, he's been a friend of mine. He's been a real success story. So that's happening. He ran unsuccessfully for the GOP nomination in 17. 4 years later in 21, he overperformed as the Republican nominee and came close to outing Phil Murphy, losing by just 3 points in the race for governor before. So he's been here before. He's the front runner in a 5-person Republican field. We'll see what happens there in New Jersey today. Meanwhile, the United States House and the Republicans there want to share the cost of food stamps with the states. Michigan would be among the states paying the highest percentage in the cost-sharing plan. This is according to Michigan news source, my news company. The GOP is proposing changing who pays for food stamps known as Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, the SNAP program. The federal government now pays for all the SNAP benefits, and the states and feds share in the administrative costs. But the House Republicans say that doesn't work. The states have no skin in the game for the cost of SNAP, so states do things to inflate the cost, such as working around work requirement rules to be eligible to receive food stamps, as well as using loopholes to increase the eligibility. We've seen states discourage work and expand benefits for those the program was not intended to serve. That according to the House Committee on Ag. That hasn't happened in Michigan. There were 1.65 million people in this state on SNAP October 2009, 1.61 million October of 14, and 1.6 million as of February of this year. The monthly cost of the federal government for Michigan SNAP beneficiaries, $261.31 million. State administers the SNAP program makes about $13 billion a year in errors. The error rate of a state is defined by the percentage of benefit dollars issued to ineligible households or to eligible households above what the program rules direct. The error rate in Michigan, 8.7%. So now you know. We're pretty good about it, but not everybody is. Not everybody is good about it. We are. Coming back, Congressman Mike Kennedy is going to join me. I met him just recently on a flight from Detroit to Washington. He's from Utah. He's a freshman in Congress. He'll be joining me after the break.
He's on hold now.
All right, back to it now. My next guest I met last week, I guess. Flying from Detroit to Washington, D.C., he was with this herd of members of Congress from Michigan. He's a congressman from the state of Utah, a freshman there. Mike Kennedy is an attorney, a physician serving as the representative for Utah's 3rd Congressional District. Just a few weeks in right now. I wonder what he makes of the swamp so far. Congressman, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Steve. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Nice to have you on the program. Glad we could get you here. You're just a few weeks into this thing. You're seeing the fights over the big, beautiful bill. You're seeing the strange behavior of the people protesting in Los Angeles. You've got a lot going on there. Just give me your impressions of your first few weeks as a member of Congress.
My impressions are there are a lot of great patriotic people trying to do their best for the country. I've been really impressed with the Republican conference. There's a lot of really smart, capable people. I'm also unimpressed with the Democrats. They just seem to have no message. They have no leader. And as a result, they're willing to take to the streets to just fight against anything that they can. So that is it's disappointing to watch. It is very partisan here in Washington, D.C., as we all knew. But being in the middle of it now, it's kind of surprising to see people that don't want to solve problems. They want to actually make problems. So that is something that I'm focused on, is trying to fix problems. Our country's a great country. It's got a lot of great people, and we need to work together to make things happen in the right direction. So
don't you
that's
find it
something
remarkable?
that I'm impressed with the Republicans.
Yeah, don't you find it remarkable that you've got all this violence going on in Los Angeles? I heard one Democrat come out so far. John Fetterman of Pennsylvania said this is wrong. You can't take the moral high ground when you're not denouncing the violence in Los Angeles. I don't hear any Democrats coming out and saying, look, Democrats should be out saying we don't want violence in the streets. We should not be attacking law enforcement. None of that. Instead, you've got people going up and pounding on the doors of detention centers demanding entry, right? It's a strange world.
Congresswoman Waters, she seems to feel like with cameras and she's going to use congressional oversight to get into places that she's not allowed to go anyways. And we all know that she's performative politics. And I saw that tape, and it was good to see that they said no thanks and going to shut the door. So the reality is we need people that are willing to solve problems, not just grandstand. And I believe she's a good example of somebody who's not focused on solving problems. But I've also heard, Steve, and that's kind of shocking, that it's a peaceful protest. They're just watching cars, driverless cars burn. And I think that
just people
sound
having
like
fun.
Exactly, a fireworks show for the 4th of July. It's kind of shocking to see that that's somehow a peaceful demonstration.
Yeah, we played that earlier. ABC News saying it's just people having fun watching cars burn. Really? Watching cars, just having fun watching cars burn. As long as it's not your car, I guess it doesn't matter.
How did the cars get on fire? I mean, that's a really interesting question.
Magical, Mike. All right, so you were elected from Utah. Utah, a long way from the border, but probably impacted by these failed immigration laws from the Biden years, and now trying to clean up America. I mean, it's a big job. There's a lot to clean up, isn't there?
We have 10 to 15 million people that came across the border during the feckless Biden administration. And actually, John, and as a family doctor myself, they've registered these people on Medicaid. We have over 1 million people that are on Medicaid, breaking that system, which is intended for pregnant women, disabled people, and elderly. And I just see those kind of policies as terrible for our country. We can't just healthcare the world by letting people cross our borders and then registering them in New York as well as in California on Medicaid. So I'm seeing things like that. And actually, there's a long-term strategy here just to pack the next census with illegal aliens so that they can actually keep the blue states blue, since, as you and I both know, many American citizens are leaving those states because of the terrible Democrat policies in California, for example, for many years.
Well, they sure are. Well, I argued in an op-ed piece almost 10 years ago now that California at that time had 7 members of Congress it was not entitled to because they were counting illegal aliens back then. And if you have about 750,000 people per member of Congress, It's about right. It's about the average, 750,000. And California was already.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, California was already well overrepresented, which takes away my representation or the representation of the state of Utah, right? Because smaller states get pinched on that deal, get screwed, frankly, when you've got illegals
You're
representing
totally right.
New York
Utah's
and
gonna
California.
Get another seat this next. Utah's going to get another seat this next decennial census as a result of people moving out of California. But the other thing we have to remember is Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C., we know the Democrats want to make those states. And if they get a majority and the opportunity to be empowered to do this, they're going to get 4 more senators as a result of those kind of efforts, going to translate into a permanent majority. So there's a long-term strategy that the Democrats have to kind of move this country, what I think, in the wrong direction, and we need to make sure we're pushing against that.
It's very much the wrong direction, yeah. Puerto Rico and D.C. D.C. is only 68 square miles, the entire thing, and they want to turn it into another state. There's a reason it's not. I suppose if we get Alberta to join us, we can offset a couple of those senators, but I don't want to go down that road.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't want to go down that road. Mike Kennedy, greatly appreciate you being here. Nice to meet you here last week, and we'll have you back anytime you want to come back, sir, as you get more familiar with the inner workings of the machine. We call it the swamp. But, Mike, thank you for being here.
Steve, thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it. There you have Congressman Mike Kennedy, new to the program and new to Congress, only a few weeks in from the state of Utah. And so we'll keep him on the Rolodex. Also coming up, Congressman Warren Davidson of Ohio 8. We've got a lot of great names here today. Stick around. We got more to talk about when it comes to the border, to what's happening in Los Angeles, and so much more. We want to make sure that you're completely informed about everything. And in Michigan, the Michigan State Police troopers have rejected the leadership. 98% no confidence vote. 98% no confidence in the Michigan State Police leadership. It's brutal. We'll be back. Well, the American autonomous driving technology company Waymo, if you didn't hear this earlier, is done with Los Angeles. Several of its robo-taxis set on fire by anti-ICE activists over the weekend. Those were the ones burning when ABC News says it's just people having fun watching cars burn. Yeah, I guess it's great if they're not your cars. At least 5 Waymo vehicles and counting burned on Sunday alone. It prompted the company to remove its vehicles from the downtown LA area and suspend service. To our media partners, demonstrators, and others who may enter the area of Los Angeles, burning lithium-ion batteries releases toxic gas, including hydrogen fluoride, posing risk to responders and those nearby. Please avoid the area. That's what the LAPD warned on X Sunday. Oh, burning. So when these cars catch fire, they're dangerous to even be around because of the toxic gas they put out. According to a 2024 report from the Wall Street Journal, those cars cost between $150,000 and $200,000 apiece. So that's $1 million of cars burned up, Waymo cars, $1 million worth burned up by, these mostly peaceful protesters who are just having fun watching cars burn. They're just having fun. They're just having fun. Property crimes are no big deal as long as it's not your property, right? How about those Waymo cars burning? For those of you on the stream, look at it. One after another after another. The reason being is the Waymo cars, will stop for something in the way. So if you block them up, I would guess the computers would get jammed up and then they couldn't figure out how to move. And by the time they were figuring out how to move, they were torched. Are you tired of being in pain every day? Try ExodusNow.com. Introducing the Exodus, a natural holistic supplement that combines 2,000 years of ancient wisdom with modern science. 7 biblical ingredients: frankincense, myrrh, cumin, paired with the groundbreaking benefits of molecular hydrogen, designed to soothe joint and muscle discomfort, boost your energy, reduce inflammation. I take it every day. It makes my brain clear. If you're living with chronic inflammation, you're not alone. You don't have to suffer anymore. Try ExodusNow.com. Try ExodusNow.com. I did. I love it. I take it every day. Try ExodusNow.com. When we come back, Congressman Warren Davidson of Ohio. In Michigan, a shock to the system. Big shock to the system. Michigan troopers from the Michigan State Police have delivered a no-confidence vote, a massive no-confidence vote to the leadership of the Michigan State Police. Over the weekend, the Michigan State Police Troopers Association, MSPTA, dropped a bombshell memo revealing the results of a department-wide survey And let's just say MSP Director Colonel James Grady and Chief Deputy Director Lieutenant Colonel Amy Brimacombe won't be displaying this report card on the refrigerator. The survey was sent to all 1,544 active troopers by MSPTA President Nate Johnson. It came back with a response rate of 76.74%, and 1,185 troopers returned it. Of those 1,185 troopers, 98.48%. That's 1,167 out of 1,185. Said they have no confidence in the leadership of Grady and Brimacombe. Only 18 troopers out of 1,185, 18 gave the troopers a vote of confidence. Yeah, that's shockingly low. The Michigan State Police have suffered greatly under the tutelage of Gretchen Whitmer. The Michigan State Police have suffered greatly under Gretchen Whitmer. There's no question about that. State Representative Mike Mueller, a former law enforcement officer himself, didn't mince words. Governor Whitmer needs to replace these two individuals immediately to restore MSP to the excellent department that it once was. We need to restore department integrity, morale, recruiting, and retention. The Michigan State Police ship is sinking, proving everything I laid out in the House Oversight Committee to be true. He's been sounding the alarm for months, says Mueller. In May, he testified before the Oversight Committee about declining morale in the department under Grady and Brimacombe. He cited poor recruiting, lack of respect for troopers, and discussed several controversial actions involving MSP leadership. Mueller's testimony came from information learned in another media-reported story called the Biennial Internal Control Evaluation Survey Results and Analysis. It revealed a sharp decline in employee engagement from 2022 to 24, and also documented that only 18% of staff believe that leadership cares about their well-being, down from 47% in 2017. The official response? The official response is that they're doing their best. From spokesperson Shannon Banner. They're doing their best, I guess. Pretty remarkable fall from grace, I would say. Anyhow, all right, so we're going to shift gears now. Congressman Warren Davidson represents Ohio 8. The brand new bill has been unveiled on digital asset market structure legislation. It's called the Clarity Act. And Congressman Davidson is one of the folks on the committee that has pushed this legislation out. He joins me now on the program. Congressman, welcome to the show.
Good morning. It's an honor to join you. Thanks.
Glad to have you here. Real quickly here, tell us what the digital asset market structure legislation is.
Yeah, the base idea started back really in 2018. The market convened. We got a gathering here at the Library of Congress and said, what is the thing that you guys all agree? And we need a clear definition on language. So we called a bill the Token Taxonomy Act in 2018. And basically, we've been working since then to make a bright line test for what defines what is and what is not a security. And we've kind of built on that. And now we've added, okay, let's call it a digital commodity if it's not fully a commodity, if it's not truly a security. There are lots of real world assets that aren't either. We kind of touch on that. But the base thing it does is it creates a bright line definition for what is not a security. And it creates a regulatory framework where if you want to raise capital without doing a securities offering, you can do it.
So we're talking about Bitcoin. We're talking about XRP and Ethereum. We're talking about digital currency, are we not?
Well, currency, but other projects like, I don't know, Helium's one. You look at things that people could do that would represent, build out a network of cell phones, for example, is what Helium does. So there are all kinds of use cases, not just a payment system. So we deal with payment stable coins, which are different than some of the things that you mentioned because they're backed by treasuries, or in the case of some, backed by gold. But that's a separate bill. That's the Stable Act. This deals not so much with payment tokens, but with Ethereum would be an example. You can build all kinds of things out on an Ethereum rail.
Your subcommittee chair said this: the golden age of digital assets is here. America won't just participate in the Web3 revolution. We will win it. The Clarity Act ensures that financial innovation and development of digital assets occurs here in the United States. That's the point, isn't it? To make sure that we are on the leading edge of all of this?
Yeah, I mean, we squandered, like I said, we've been working to get this done. The market really wanted it in 2017. So even in 18, we would have been about a year late. And we've been working ever since. I mean, largely the opposition has come from Senator Elizabeth Warren and the biggest banks. They really didn't want to be disrupted. And if you really look, like right now, one of the core fights has been to protect self-custody, because they realized they couldn't stop it. So they wanted to keep it account-based. And ultimately, you don't have decentralized finance without the decentralization part. So unless people have self-custody, they'll just get different intermediaries.
Right.
They won't necessarily truly radicalize finance.
This comes at a time when central bank digital currencies it looks like they're going to take over in Europe. And if that happens, you won't have any freedom in Europe at all, because they'd be able to control every transaction, every financial transaction be overseen by the government. We're trying to avoid that, are we not?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the bills that we've got as well. Tom Emmer led this bill, which bans central bank digital currency. The president's executive order, when he took office, he created an executive order on digital assets, and it does all those things. It protects self-custody. It says we want to protect stable coins. We want to do a market structure bill, but it also bans central bank digital currency to the extent it can be done with an executive order. We're trying to get all three of those things done in the House. We've got three separate bills. I think it would be great if we put them all together into one big crypto bill, and we get that to the Senate, because they don't have all the work done on all the components. They do have a stablecoin bill. I think if we push our product over there, we can get a vote, hopefully.
Real quickly, the EU is pushing for an end of cash altogether by 2030. We've only got about 30 seconds here, Congressman. Will we still have cash in America in 5 years?
If we don't protect it, we may not. I mean, obviously, there are people in the United States working to build a central bank digital currency, including at the Federal Reserve. Elizabeth Warren and a lot of her allies want that future for America. Lael Brainerd was working on it at the White House.
Well, there you go. Congressman Warren Davidson from Ohio 8. You come back anytime, especially if you've got a few more minutes. We'll spend more time talking about this. This is the future. This is the future of currency, and we need to discuss how it impacts all of us. Sir, thank you for being here.
Thank you. My honor.
Really appreciate it. There you have it. I'll take a break. When I come back, Ivy's going to be here to weigh in on, well, whatever Ivy weighs in on. It's always, spin the wheel. We'll find out after this. All right, so a lot of discussions here today. A lot of us talking about what's going on the West Coast, but we've had two members of Congress here talking about different issues. Mike Kennedy, who I just met last week, flying to D.C. from Detroit. He'd been here in Michigan with some members of Congress. And Warren Davidson from Ohio 8 talking about central bank digital currencies. These are all big topics and important stuff, and you can find all those conversations right here. Join me now, though, is Ivy. Ivy, good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
And how are you today?
I feel okay. Not too bad. How about yourself?
I'm good. Good.
I can tell you, though, I wouldn't be feeling as good if I was stung by an Asian needle ant. Have you heard about this?
Excuse me? An Asian needle ant. That sounds
What's
like
up with
something
all these
out of
invasive species, by the way?
Yeah,
I just happened
I looked
upon
this
this story about this new invasive species that's on the rise, and it's been detected now in 20 states, called the Asian needle ant, and it delivers a painful and venomous sting. If you get stung by it, sometimes the reaction is anaphylactic shock. So, something.
How nice.
And they're very elusive. So you wouldn't even know that all of a sudden it's crawling on you. Although that's kind of true for most ants.
Yeah, let's see
You
here.
can kind of see them, but
Here's the headline from USA Today. I just looked at stinging and wicked. Asian needle ants are spreading across the U.S. Asian needle ants have been linked to multiple cases of life-threatening reactions, and the mysterious ants keep spreading.
extremely painful. It can cause this kind of pain for days. And some people are reacting very poorly to this sting. So keep an eye out for sure on
A
this.
carnivorous ant. They're meat eaters. That's what it says here.
I think all ants aren't they? I think ants actually eat, dead things.
I don't know.
and pick them
Leafcutter
apart
ants
and-
eat leaves, obviously. We saw
Yeah,
the leafcutter ants. So
that's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, but it's just so weird. We were talking last week about the ticks, and there was another spider, and then you hear about all these other invasive species. What is up with that? How have we become so?
Well, we're interconnected.
Overwhelmed with all of these invasive species.
Well, planes, trains, and automobiles. Invasive species is in the eye of the beholder.
That's true.
Rainbow
If you're talking
trout are an
about
invasive
trout.
species, right?
Yeah.
And pheasants are an invasive species. It just depends on your point of view. Trout are lovely, pheasant are lovely. Needle ants, not so much. Not so much. Although we could use the pheasants to eat the ants, then we'd be all right.
Or chickens.
Or chickens, that's right. So, yeah, anyhow. Invasive species, I think we're the invasive species, aren't we? The number one invasive species would be you and I.
I don't think that's particularly true.
Well, we've invaded the whole world, haven't we?
I don't know if we've invaded it. I think that we are here and for longer than we can actually conceive possible. And I think we continue to find earlier and earlier proof of human existence. So I don't necessarily agree with that. Actually, there was a little bit of a hot debate here at our home about Elon Musk's position on, the world population decline and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. And it got me thinking because the reality is we have many economies in many countries, and as right now there are a lot of older people are retiring, getting into that retirement age.
Yeah, every day.
Then you're not replacing those people with more human existence, more babies. And so how are you going to fill the jobs? How are you going to continue to grow these economies?
That's one of the big arguments over immigration.
And then it brings me to wonder, is that why Elon is so hell-bent on creating these robots that can actually take and do work?
I thought that's why you were going to tell me that Elon has, created 25 kids, and that's so he's trying to repopulate the world by himself.
That's true too. He's a good old Catholic, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know what he is.
I don't think he's anything. I think, from what I understand, he could be atheist. He doesn't believe that, he's a very scientific mind. So,
yeah.
But anyhow, I think that's an interesting thought there is that, if we don't have enough people and the birth rate continues to decline, what does that mean for
In some
the
ways,
future.
though, don't you think what the world would be like if there are only 100 million people as opposed to 8.5 billion?
Maybe.
Yeah.
But how can we sustain the future economies if we don't have people to
It's a fine question, but I mean,
take these jobs or create things, or I don't know.
I don't know either. That's why I say I don't know. Is the world a better place with 100 million people or 8 billion people? You drive through traffic and you wonder.
Not as badly here as in some places, but
Throwing it out there, yeah.
it is an interesting issue. I think a lot of people have different opinions about, but what I do know is that something like 60% of all small businesses in America right now are owned by baby boomers.
Yeah, it's all transferring.
And so,
Or going out of business.
what does that mean for the future of small business? Are the 60% of baby boomers going to close up shop? Are they going to sell? Are they made? I don't think, from what I've read, many don't have an out plan.
Yeah, don't have an exit plan at all.
An exit plan. So then, what does that mean for the small businesses around the United States of America?
Right.
And it's kind of an interesting topic if we really take a look at it. Because there's a huge opportunity for investors or folks who want to become small business owners.
Sure.
But also could mean a big problem for, filling a lot of gaps.
So there's a problem, but there's opportunity, because if these businesses are basically at the end of the line and they don't have an exit plan or a plan to sell their business, where they can close the door, could be a thriving little business.
Absolutely.
Somebody could go buy it or find a way to
own,
transition in while they
Absolutely.
transition out. You own the business that's been created, whatever that business might be. There's an opportunity for you. That's a good thing.
Yeah, certainly an opportunity, but also a big problem, especially if you think about the skilled trades.
Sure.
We already have a big issue and a huge shortage in that skilled trade area. If we're talking about, even half of that 60% being the shortage of people not,
Correct.
continuing their businesses, what does that mean? So it's definitely something to continue to look at.
All right, Ivy, good to see you this morning. Love you as always.
Look out for those ants.
Look out for the needle ants. Thank you, Ivy. Watch under your feet. Anaphylactic shock, no fun. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
What is that laying in the car? All right, Anthony's distracting me with, videos of kids blowing their hands up by playing with fireworks when they're not smart enough to do so. This is what Anthony does to me sometimes. He just, hey, watch this. I don't want to watch that.
Well, 4th of July is coming up, and people need to know to be safe.
So I got to watch some kid blow his hand up. Good Lord. He's right, though, folks. Don't be that guy. Hey, Bubba, watch this. Yeah, don't be that guy. Yeah. I could do better than that. Hand me a beer. Yeah. Do you play with fireworks, Anthony? Do you?
No, not really.
Mm-hmm. I've got some, but I love the 4th of July. It is coming up. And I love Sparkies at the 4th of July. That's a fact. Love it. Sparkies, a Michigan tradition in Jackson for years and years. There's a free shout-out for my friends at Sparkies that make their own fireworks brands, by the way. They also have these cool things at the fireworks store now. If you go in, you scan the code on the box, right? Big flat screen TVs, they'll show you exactly what that fireworks is going to look like. You don't have to wonder. Do I want this one? I don't know. Look at this. Look at the video. And it won't show some kid's hand getting blown off. It'll actually just show the firework operating properly. See? Just be safe out there. Anthony's right about that. Careful with that axe, Eugene. You never know what might happen. All right, we're going to keep an eye on everything happening in Los Angeles for the rest of the day. Speaking of fireworks, they're using commercial-grade fireworks to attack police officers, ICE agents, federal officers. Yeah, these are the folks that the Democrats apparently want to support. Yeah, this is who the Democrats apparently want to support. So it's a bit crazy to say the least. And, it's not going to stand. I can tell you that right now. It is not going to stand. The National Guard there, Marines are there now protecting the area from, protecting the federal buildings from being destroyed and smashed and tagged. We'll keep you up to date on all of it every day right here on the program. Fight the good fight. Keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. This is the Steve Gruber Show. And remember, only you can save America.